Hey, welcome to episode 2 of Ray's Corner. Today we're talking about not listening to popular opinion and the journey. You know, this week has been a lot of talk about education. And yeah, with Common Core, we probably need to delve into that a little bit more. But there's something I'm more concerned with. And that's who our children believe they're going to be. Who we believe we're going to be. I'm the generation before the millennials. And yeah, there's a lot of bitter millennials saying things like, well, if we just redistribute the wealth, we'll be good to go, right? Right, you know? Remember what they told us growing up? Get good grades, go to college, get a degree, and you'll be set. Really? Where are the jobs? How many people have degrees anymore? And if you push having a degree for 30 years, 3 decades of hardcore, you need a degree to be successful. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to have an influx of degrees. Now, what has happened in our society? Everybody has a degree. So what are they saying to you now? Stay in school. Get your master's degree, because guess what? Things will be better by the time you're out of school. Well, that's what they said to us in 2004 when we graduated. Go become a nurse. There's going to become a nurse shortage here shortly, right? Well, how many nurses do you pump into a system? How many nurses didn't retire because their money wasn't there? Their pensions were not there. How many people do we push degrees onto that cannot find a job? Earlier today, I met a woman who has a master's degree. Granted, you know, it's in the arts, but she has a master's degree. That means she can teach at any school anything within liberal arts, right? Why doesn't she have a job? Now, another topic I'm going to hit hard because it hits really close to home. I was made to feel like a degenerate for almost 2 decades. Would you like to know why? Because I was a C student. I got sent to 2 military schools and a juvenile delinquent boarding school for C's and a couple of D's, I think maybe an F or 2 in there, maybe. My average was a 2.0 GPA. And I had a lot of friends growing up that wish they could have got a 2.0. But was it because I wasn't smart enough, wasn't intelligent enough to understand the class, the problems, the questions of the tests? No. I didn't want to do the work. Not because I was lazy, because I already understood it. I understood the concept. So why continue to write research papers? Why continue to do this pointless homework, the only point of which is to mindlessly drill all that information into your head, which guess what? At least 50% has been proven wrong. We listen to modern archaeology. They tell us that the city of Dwarka off the coast of India shouldn't exist. That 32,000 BC, there should be nobody alive in any metropolis civilization, period. Guess what? There are civilizations underneath the ocean who have been radiocarbon dated to 32,000 BC. But if you listen to them, well, we were still crawling out of caves. We were making cave paintings at the time, let alone pottery and monolithic structures. If you listen to them, they tell you that the pyramids were the pharaoh's tomb. What pharaoh? Name me the pharaoh that was in the Great Pyramid. Name me the pharaoh that was in one of the other 2. Name it to me, please. And then they tell us the Sphinx was created after the image of another pharaoh, whose son said, okay, I'm going to make this great statue after the image of my father without a nose, because that's what we need to do. Remember, up until 1903, we didn't know the Sphinx had a body. What if he didn't either? What if he came across a statue of a lion and said, I want my father's face on that. Recarve it now. And in the process of recarving it, screwed up the nose and chipped it off. Is that not more probable? All the weathering around the Sphinx is water weathering, not wind. What does that tell you? That tells me a student of climatology and history and geology, hey, this Sphinx was built when the Sahara was a rainforest, which was at least 12,500 years ago. So 10,500 before Christ, correct? So what does that mean about your teachers? Does it mean you don't have to listen to them? No. Take in everything they tell you, but take it with a grain of salt. Do not agree with everything they say, because not every single factual piece of information is truly factual. It's their theory. It's what they think. It's their opinion in that textbook that they've read, that the teachers above them told them to force upon you. You know, if you listen to modern cultural sciences, they will tell you a lot of things, none of which are the truth. They will enforce opinions on other cultures because they think that's how their culture came to be, when their culture will explicitly say, no, that is not what happened. This is what happened. We've passed it on from generation to generation through myths, folklores, and legend. But if you listen to the anthropologists, if you listen to the modern archaeologists, they will tell you something completely different. And I'm here to tell you right now, it's a lie. And I'm not saying everybody on the planet that's a teacher is lying. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying take it with a grain of salt. Think for yourself. Popular opinion should have nothing to do with your individual thought process. You should take it in and register it and say, okay, well, this is what they think. Well, here's what I think. And here's evidence to the contrary. So I'm going to form my own independent evaluation of the facts that are presented in front of me. That's how everyone should think. That's how a scientist thinks. That's how a scientist should think. That's how anybody in politics and religion should think as well. Okay, well, this was my thought process beforehand. I've been introduced new evidence that seems factual. I've double-checked it. Guess what? Here's my new formulated opinion. And this is where I'm going to stick until I'm presented with new evidence that falsifies my position and my evidence right now. Why? Because that's how it goes. That's a scientific process, correct? So figure it out. Understand who you are, where you've been, and where you're going. Do not listen to anybody else but your inner voice. You are the only master of your domain. You are the only person in your circle of influence. You are the only person that matters to you and to your family. Do not listen to what anybody else says. Yeah, take in their input, but don't take it upon fact. You need to blend that in with everything else you know and formulate your own independent thought process from there. I am so sick of my friends taking taglines from MSNBC, CNN, Fox. That's not how we're supposed to be. We were not given our own independent and free-thinking thought process for that frickin' reason. So get over it. Find exactly what you need to do for you. Not for that person, not for that person. For you and your children, for you and yours. You do this for you and your family. Leave everybody else out of it. Leave all the popular opinion, all the naysayers and the talking heads to them damn selves. Because they don't matter in your circle of concern or your circle of influence. Whatever happened to the Trayvon Martin case, leave it be. It has nothing to do with you. You are not the neighborhood watch, anything. Not the captain, not the secretary, not the treasurer. Why do you even care? Some of the things you need to realize are some of the closest to home. If your kid is failing at school, ask why. Ask who. Ask what. It's not the teacher's fault. It's not your kid's fault. Remember, Einstein failed math over 9 times. Yet what did he do for quantum physics? What did he do for the theory of mathematics? Once again, theory. He might be proven wrong one day as well. That was my rant. Now here's some solutions. Like I said, think for yourself. Think upon you and yours. Think upon the things that determine who you are and what your stance is. Do not believe all personal opinion. Like I said, take grains of it for what it is. For what it is. Not necessarily as fact. Not necessarily as fiction either. But you need to look at both sides of it. Ever since I was a kid, I always judged everything by this. Well, on one hand, if I spend 50 cents on bubblegum, I won't have 50 cents tomorrow. But on the other hand, I really enjoy the taste of Bazooka. And if I go to the next convenience store, they might not have Bazooka bubblegum. and I really enjoy the comics. But on the other hand, what if I find a treat that I like better than Bazooka? Remember, look at both sides of the equation to formulate your opinion. And remember, it is the concept. Anytime I taught my surveying students, I said, you need to understand the concept of surveying before you even delve into an equation. Anybody can look up an equation, but you can do so much more if you just know the concept of what you're dealing with. I had a surveyor teach me one time how to use a nautical sextant to survey a pad in, a concrete pad. A sextant. Now, if you don't know what it is, look it up. S-E-X-T-A-N-T, nautical sextant. So, like I said, understand the concept, formulate your own opinion, come up with your new facts and figures, and if you have to, Bing, Google, Yahoo, whatever. Find your own information. Do not believe everybody else for what they say, because they might have their facts wrong, or there might be new information. Like I said, multiple cases with new information that proves everything else wrong, but they hardline it and they stick to it. Why? How would you like your life's work ruined by some young buck who found out new information? It would suck. But like I said, if it's the right information, why would you not take it? Welcome to the world of religion, politics, and academia. Now, we're going to talk about the journey and where you're at. Now, if you're watching this video, I assume that you've started the journey. And the journey starts here. It starts with recognizing that something isn't right. And you want a solution, but you don't know where to go. So you branch off, and you try and feel it out. Now, the reason I tell you this is because I've already made this journey. And I've already made it to the point where I understand what's free, what's right, what's wrong, what's bad. I've already discussed all other avenues, and I've approached all of them. Not all of them, per se, but as many as I want to look down. And if I haven't looked down that avenue, I've researched it enough to know what it's about. So you might head towards socialism, even though you don't know it. You might head towards communism, even though you don't know it. You might head towards a free market. You might head towards capitalism, towards crony capitalism, but you don't know it. You don't know where you're going, but you know something's not right. You know something needs to be fixed. So it leads you to one thing, and it leads you to the next, and it leads you to the next. And eventually you find somebody like Alex Jones, and you say, oh man, they're coming for us in FEMA camps, man. Well, we got to do something about this. And you might not go that extreme. You might go the other way. You might go to Media Matters. You might go to some very, very far left-leaning opinion, blog, whatever. That's up to you to decide. I'm not here to decide that for you. I'm just here to tell you how the journey works. You start there, you keep going, you keep going. You go through this avenue, you go through that avenue, and finally, you come to a conclusion that we're being lied to, that we have no clue where our food comes from, that the food that we do know where it comes from isn't really where we know it comes from, i.e. USDA organic. Yeah, they still use pesticides and fertilizers and herbicides, so not that organic, is it? When you go research on how some of these factory farms work, you'll also find out how a lot of our food comes to be. And you'll say, this isn't right. What else can I do about it? And like I've said before, start a garden, raise some chickens. If you have the land, raise some hogs, raise some cattle, raise some goats, some sheep. You can do small Nubian goats on quarter acre. You get some goat milk out of them, and if you can, butcher one or two of them. This is the journey that we all go through. And eventually it leads back to small communities. Community cohesiveness, working together with your neighbor, planting your own food, creating things from nothing. I'm a creator and a destroyer. I was an engineer, soldier, and now I'm a gardener. I believe in both worlds. I like walking the middle ground, not because, as some people say, oh, you're lukewarm, you don't believe in anything. No, you're darn right. I believe in everything. I believe that the right way to go is the right way for each individual person. And you need to find that right way for you. But like I said, no matter where you're at on the journey, it's the same journey we all take. And most of us usually arrive at creating our own food, growing our own groceries, and some sort of semblance of freedom and liberty. Because we realize where we're at. We realize the tyranny and oppression that has fallen upon us. And it doesn't matter what nation, what state you live in. That doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's the same everywhere you go. And trust me, it is. You can do the research if you want, but it is. So when you make this journey, I want you to, like I said, look at one side, look at the other, and come to the middle. Come to understand why you're there and what you're fighting for and what you believe in. And you will know when you've reached the end of your journey, because you'll say, this feels right. This is where I'm supposed to be. But remember, once you get to that point, that's not the end of it. That's the beginning. You have to make the journey before you can really start. You know, they say that this is the end of the beginning of the end. It really is the starting point for the rest of your life. Once you get to the end of the journey, you will understand a lot more about who you are, where you come from, and where you're going. Because if you can't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. Me especially. I have to look back and know where I've been to know where I'm going. And if I haven't seen where I've been, I have no clue where I'm going. You know, and in today's college society, they teach that circular theory is inaccurate. History repeats itself. Well, that doesn't really happen. Can I clue you in on something? Oh, history repeats itself in more ways than you know. Everything works like this. Everything you know is cyclical. The universe, black holes, quantum physics, everything is cyclical. And everything is interconnected. Whether you think it is or it isn't, remember, everything is interconnected. And I'll leave you with that. I'll post some more things to think about in the credits. Go ahead and look for them. And like I said, know where you're at on the journey and know that once you reach the end of it, it's really just the beginning. And that's when the real fun starts. That's when you get to see the really, truly precious things about life. And that's when you have more hope than ever. And with that, I'll leave you till next week.